Good afternoon, good evening, whenever you might be getting around to watch this video. Today we're going to cover Chapter 16, Section 1 for my missing 8th graders. To be honest, this is a little weird situation. That's why I'm not at the podium, because looking over a bunch of empty desks didn't seem that fun. So when we last left off, a long time ago, we talked about Lincoln being elected president. So even before he was elected president, if you remember, southern states had already threatened that they were going to secede. They were going to leave the Union if this took place. Remember, Lincoln was not on a single ballot in the South, yet he still wins the election to become president of the United States. South Carolina leaves, other southern states leave, they form the Confederate States of America. Fort Sumter is going to be attacked. This is going to actually start our war. So today we're going to look at that attack at Fort Sumter, which is in Charleston, South Carolina. No one's really killed in this attack. Fort Sumter is a man-made island in the middle of Charleston Harbor. Confederates attack this. It forces Lincoln's hand at actually causing some action. This action is also going to cause some other southern states to leave. One of the biggest southern states that will leave and join the Confederacy late will be Virginia. Same advantages Virginia brought with them during the Revolutionary War, they bring with the Civil War, mainly the population and the money aspect. Not all slave states would join the Confederacy. Okay? These states that did not, Missouri, Kentucky, Maryland, Delaware, eventually West Virginia, are going to be called the border states. Okay, so that's an important distinction for us to remember, is that not every slave state is going to join the Confederacy. So looking at the actual war, before you go watch a UFC fight or a boxing, it's the tale of the tape. Here's our tale of the tape here. The North's advantages, and they are many. They have a much larger population than the South. Remember that all those immigrants that we talked about with the push-pull factors that were coming in over in Europe, they weren't selling to the South. They were selling to New York, to Boston, to Philadelphia. All right, so this really increased the population of the North. The population of the North is also going to be increased due to the fact of more and more people going to the factory system. So people were leaving their farms, coming into the factories to try to find a better way of life. So way bigger population. Most of the nation's railroads are going to be in the North. Remember, plantations were self-sufficient. Everything they needed was right there. So the railroads were connecting the factory workers in the Northeast to the farmers in the Midwest, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio region. The factory workers were buying their crops. Then the factory workers were selling their goods to the farmers. So it was the reason for that we had so much railroads connecting those two regions. Almost all the factories were in the North. This is going to be a key advantage. We start talking about the lack of supplies and stuff that the Southern soldiers are going to have. And the North has the Navy. The South doesn't have a Navy. So the South doesn't have a whole lot of advantages, but the advantages they have are pretty big. Number one, they have way better generals. Okay? One of the ongoing things we're going to be looking at throughout 16 and 17 is the fact that Lincoln constantly has to fire general after general because he can't find one to get the job done. This isn't the case with the South. And they're having to fight a defensive war. They don't have to do anything. The North has to come to them. The North has to bring all their supplies to them. The South just has to sit there, wait, hold their ground. So that's a huge advantage. Both sides are going to have a plan for this war. The North's plan is going to be called the Anaconda Plan. Anaconda snake wraps around its prey, suffocates it. This was part of the goal. Anaconda Plan had several goals. Number one, blockade the South. Nothing in, nothing out. You wanted to do this to damage the South's economy. You also wanted to control the Mississippi River, cut the Confederacy in half. Most of the food and supplies like that are actually coming from Texas. You get the Mississippi River controlled, those crops can't make it to where they're supposed to. The South's plan is going to be nicknamed King Cotton. Pretty easy. Fight a defensive war. Don't sell cotton to the rest of the world, which the North's going to help them with the Anaconda Plan. The goal about not selling cotton to the world is, if you're not selling cotton to the rest of the world, their economy is going to suffer. They're not going to have anyone to be able to buy their goods. They're not going to be able to produce these goods. The South's goal is this is going to force those countries, mainly France and England, to come over and help the Confederacy in the war. Okay, so that is our quick recap of Chapter 16, Section 1. Your assignment is usually at this point of the day, the MIT note will be up on the smartboard. You write it down. That's not going to be the case this time. You need to comment below. Send me an email, private message, however you want to do it, what you think the most important factor of this is. You can also find this summary already typed up and run down for you on one of the class sites. Facebook is Cooper Middle School Social Studies. Instagram is Cooper MSSS. Throughout the rest of this school year, on Fridays, there will be a live version of Facebook and Instagram. Times will be announced on both, where if you want me to go more in depth or you're not understanding something, you can log on, ask a question, and we'll go away right there. So hopefully all of you are well. You are missed. I will see you next time we go over Chapter 16, Section 2.